right. So the reason the intro took a little bit longer to take is because I had an internet hiccup yesterday, so I wanted to make sure that we were going to be stable. So I let it run for about like 6 or 7 minutes to start, and we haven't dropped any frames yet. Knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we are up and running. We are recording. We are doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no idea whose intro it actually is this time.
You, well, you chose the game.
True, but like I don't know who did it last
I
time.
don't
To be
remember either.
perfectly honest. Oh, whatever.
New year, new intro.
Well, same old
Whoa.
type of intro, but yeah. Uh, well, I hope Lex will understand my. Wow, you can see it's been a while. I can't find my words even. Jesus. My instructions. That was the word I
There you
was
go.
looking for. Jesus. Because we're gonna be saying this part a lot. Well, a lot, like 4 times or something, maybe.
A few
No,
times.
it's like from the future. Um, and when I imagine, I don't. What am I saying? I think it's a reference from Futurama, but which already is a reference from like country fairs or like where they show future stuff and things like that, and it's like when they say from the future, it's always like said by some kind of scientist guy in a white lab coat, and they put like this echo on it that it reverbs throughout
From
the
the
thing.
future.
Yeah, like you can imagine what it is. So do that, Lex, when I say from the future in this thing, and later on in the episode as well, actually. So if you can make that happen, it's
All
fine. But
right, so this is going to be echoes.
yeah, only that part, please, because otherwise it's gonna suck to listen to. Uh, but yeah, let's say this little intro bit here. So here we go. On this episode of This is Game Boy, it's Mega Man from the future. There you
Boo,
go.
boo, doo, boo, boo, boo.
Easy.
Doo, 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 doo.
Yes.
At least I get our theme song right now.
It only took 4 years, but sure.
Man, like the first couple times I would do the Retro Notch theme on accident, then I would do the Frame Savers theme on accident. And I was like, you know what, like, and then now like Frame Savers isn't a podcast anymore, unfortunately, and I don't listen to Retronauts because their last like year of episodes have not interested me at all. So I'm like, oh, hey, I
Mm,
remember our theme song now. So
awesome. All right, let's get this party started. Shall we? Um, hello everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of This is Game Boy. The first one, 2023. Um, and also our first live recording of one. Uh, since a few months actually, with all the
oh,
holidays and things coming up. But yeah, like always, I'm Muda, and with me is eBloodyCandy.
hello.
Yeah. So yeah, we're back. There might be a little bit of a break between releases of episodes, um, since the last light and this episode. Uh, I would say our apologies, but again, it was the holidays. Like they were in the weekend as well, which makes it
Yeah,
even
that was
worse.
rough.
Like you just don't have time to record, sadly, but whatever, we're back. So yeah, it's been a while since we recorded. Looking at your list, apparently it's been a while. Looking at my list of games I played, not so much. But yeah, let's just start with yours because Jesus, that's quite a list you got there.
So like 2022, I was busy, so I streamed a total of 57 times last year. So like give you a sense, like the year before 2021, I streamed over 200 times. So it just tells you how busy I was last year just with stuff. And December I had no obligations, and most of January so far I haven't had any obligations, which means I could actually do stuff and play video games and actually, live life a little bit. So some friends from GDQ and myself, we got together and we started doing this thing called Archipelago Multi-World Async. So, and I've been doing Minecraft and Donkey Kong Country 3 for. So what that is if you're unfamiliar with it, is there's a pool of games that you can choose from because not every game is supported right now. So say like if you want to do a Link to the Past, Super Metroid, or the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo, Time Spinners, Donkey Kong 3, Minecraft. There's a pool of games to choose from, and you can set up what we call a YAML file, a .yaml file, and in there, if you have a pool of like let's say 6 or 7 people, 5 people, however many people, what's going to happen is that it's going to basically create a randomizer for all of those games. And say like if I'm playing with somebody that's playing Link to the Past, I could potentially find bombs, a progressive sword, the hook shot, whatever in my games. Like if I'm playing Donkey Kong Country 3, I can find their Link to the Past items in my game, and they can find
Hmm.
my DKC 3 stuff in their game. So it's actually pretty cool. It's been a lot of fun. This is my second one that I've done. I've done Minecraft and DKC 3 for both of them. The first time I did Minecraft, I had a forfeit. I took too much on in Minecraft. But DKC 3, the first time I did it, I did Banana Bird goal. So getting all 15 banana birds to summon the Banana Mom to take out K.
Yeah.
Rule. And then this time around, I did Minecraft again with a lower set of achievements. Knocked that out literally the first night because I had just the God mode seed for Minecraft. And then doing DKC 3 again this time around, but I'm doing the Krematoa tokens. So I need all 5 gear sprockets and a bunch of bonus coins to get through Krematoa to face off against K. Rulenstein. And I also shuffled my levels and shuffled the music. So I literally have gotten all of the Krematoa levels in the first 2 worlds of my playthrough. So instead of world 1 being like the easy, like walking on a dock, my world 1 was Poisonous Pipeline, which, if you don't know what Poisonous Pipeline and DKC 3 is, it's inverted controls. So my first stage of DKC 3 this playthrough had inverted controls. So we started off strong in this seed. But I right now we like well, right now I'm blocked from playing DKC 3 because I need bonus coins to blow up the rocks in Krematoa. So I'm waiting for the other players in the pool right now to get through their games to get me my bonus coins. So that's probably what a lot of my time has been going towards right now. It's actually been a ton of fun. Um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the GBA. So not the platformer, not the 3D beat 'em up, but the 2D beat 'em up, kind of like the Streets of Rage clone, essentially. Um, it's been okay. I realized that if you play on easy, you don't fight Shredder, so you have to play on
Yeah.
normal to fight Shredder. And also, that game on hard is effing hard. Like that game is brutal on hard. So thank God I don't have to play it on hard to get the good ending. Um, Michael Jackson Moonwalker for the Sega Genesis. By the way, amazing game. Also, if you want Thriller in the graveyard sequence, you need to play the version 1.0 Japanese version if you want Thriller, which is the version I played and uploaded to YouTube because I wanted Thriller. Otherwise, if you get the version 1.1 worldwide release, that one doesn't have Thriller. I forgot what it is instead. Um, Speaking of Streets of Rage 2, I did Streets of Rage 2 for the Genesis as well. Not I get why people adore that game, but I definitely prefer Streets of Rage 3, which I haven't beaten yet because that game is a lot harder. But it's a fun
Mhm.
game. It's a fun beat 'em up. Recently went through Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy just because I needed a long play quick. Don't need to talk about that disaster of a game. Um, the days before Christmas. So every year on Christmas Eve or Christmas, I play Days Before Christmas. I still have never played the Genesis version of the game. I've only ever played the Super Nintendo version. So maybe next year or this year rather, I'll do the Genesis version. We'll see. To follow the Foot Clan for Game Boy Long Play, Doom for the Game Boy Advance. By the way, if you're looking for a good Doom port, like if you can't get like an old like IBM computer set up, or if you don't want to like go through the whole like DOS box thing, Doom for the Game Boy Advance is pretty legit not bad. The graphics are a little because Game Boy Advance, but the music is good. It's fluid. There's no lag. It's a pretty good port. Which
Yeah,
I can't.
unless you're like me, because then you're gonna
Yeah,
throw up.
yeah. I can't say the same for Wolfenstein 3D though. Wolfenstein 3D for the GBA, which I also played, is awful. There are no enemies. It's barren. Like there's like two enemies per stage. You
Wow.
move like it like you're choppy when you move. It's just really bad, which is crazy. And it's made and published by the same people that did Doom, but like I don't know. It's worse. It's awful. It's really bad. Also prepping for WoW Classic Alduar patch, which comes out this week. So before this recording goes live, which means my life
Right.
will be consumed again for probably the next month or so with that. YouTube long plays, as I've been chugging out long plays, trying to get some stuff out there. More so for games that probably don't have a lot of eyes on them. And honestly, for me, it's consoles I don't ever really get to play. Like I never dove into the Sega library. It's like
Hmm.
I have Tempo on the Sega CD that I need to check out still. I checked out Blackthorn for the Sega CD, which is awful port of that game. So I'm pretty stoked to play that. So for me, it's just exploring other consoles finally, and so which means I might finally dive into the very small Sega CD library. But beyond that, also I've been catching up on TV as well too, which has been pretty nice. I watched all of Seinfeld finally. Which the first half of the Seinfeld seasons or series was great. The last half, not so much, in my opinion.
That's fine.
It was good. Don't get me wrong; it was good all the way through. But I felt like the first half of the series was a lot stronger than the second half. And then this week was GDQ, so I actually watched a lot of GDQ this week. So I was like I watched Ant and Toad do Jackal. I watched the NES block was great. I just hated that I had to wake up at like 3 in the morning to watch it, which for you
Yeah,
wasn't too
I
bad. It
didn't.
was like noon for you, so.
Yeah, but I couldn't watch because Twitch is blocked at work,
Oh
so
yeah,
I can't see anything there. So I literally saw maybe 6 runs in total or something. That even interested me because there were two
that's
days that
fair.
I worked from home and everything. Like usually the good stuff is at midnight for me or late in the evening. Um, and like the Final Fantasy runs and things like that take like 5 hours are usually on during the day. That's
Yeah,
always how it has been. And this time it was like the complete opposite. And now that I could have watched, I couldn't because I was at work. So I was like, yeah, okay, it's just never gonna happen. So I'll just catch up to some VODs next week or something. And
yeah. This
yeah.
GDQ was weird for me because I it's nothing against GDQ. It's just I've watched so much GD. I've been watching GDQ since 2012 or whatever it was. So it's really hard for me as a viewer now, as a longtime viewer, to really get excited for GDQs.
Hmm.
So like when AGDQ was like, "Hey, it's AGDQ week," I was like, "All right, well, let's see what's going on here." Like I look at the schedule and I'm just like, opening night was a banger. Like I'm like, oh my god, like opening night was phenomenal. I was like, all right, it's sick. All right, we got a really good opening night. I haven't seen an opening night like this in a while. And then we got to like the mid like afternoon games where it was like fat. Like by the way, Fashion Police was probably my favorite run of the entire marathon. But
That one I did see, yeah. Well, it wasn't for me.
it was, yeah, that's fair. I very much enjoyed that run. I very much enjoyed the runner in the commentary. But but like there were those types of games like during like prime time or like midweek. I was just like, oh, I'm like, all right, we'll give it a shot, and I'm glad I did because like otherwise I was pretty old EBC would have been like, I ain't watching this. See ya. And I would have gone and done something else or watched something else. But I'm glad I stuck around and watched some of that stuff because even though I may have not liked the game, some of the commentary and the runners were actually very enjoyable to listen to and watch. So I'm glad I got at least that exposure. It's cool to see new faces, honestly, in the speedrunning community, retro community, and GDQ. Because there was a stretch there for a while, it was just the same people over and over and over again.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah.
which I get, like you bring back the people you know are gonna do good and be respectful and whatnot. I 100% understand that, especially as a previous marathon setup person. I very much understand that. But it
Yeah.
was nice to see a lot of fresh games and a lot of fresh faces this year.
Hmm.
Although I was surprised to see Mario 3 be the closer, because traditionally it's usually an RPG that's a closer. So
Yeah, but like the timing was different as well because usually it closes like today around noonish
yeah,
for me, and now it was already like what I think 7 o'clock in the morning for me.
yeah,
So I guess it was a little shorter. I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
how it's worked exactly.
I well, it's probably because it was an RPG, and I think honestly I think online stuff like the timing for online stuff is just easier. Because
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
tech might be a little bit more sophisticated for online stuff because like you have to make sure things are captured and transitioning and whatnot. But like there's no tech like physical setup at all. Like
Yeah, yeah, that
I'm
helps.
not grabbing a console, bringing it over, sitting on a table, waiting for a tech guy to set up my console, testing the cart, testing the TV. Like there's none of that at all
Hmm.
with the online GDQs. So it definitely helps, keep things rolling a bit. But I do miss the in person stuff quite a bit. But I'm curious if they had Mitch close because it was Mike Uyama's last GDQ,
Right.
and I know those two are friends. So I'm just,
Would
it's
make
sad.
sense.
It's sad to see Mike Lee. I mean, Mike's been around. I mean, Mike started it all. Like Mike's been around
Yeah.
since day one. So it is sad to see Mike leave, but I'll be interested to see what cool Matt he has to bring to the board now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, that's really been me. Lots of games because I finally have free time. So, what about you?
Yeah, I it's the same as it was like the previous episodes. Like I really haven't played much. I like do not have the time to play video games lately. It's weird. So like on my own in my free time, I played Crisis Core Reunion, which I was like super excited about because I've been saying ever since like there was one PSP game they remade that I really loved. Um, and I was like, why are they not porting Crisis Core? Because Crisis Core is probably the best game on PSP, to be honest. Maybe besides Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
Price
I
Sleep
know
is
it
good.
it depends on what genres you like to play. I know that, but like from an objective point of view, those are like two of the best games that handheld ever had. So I was always surprised they never ported Crisis Core before. Uh, it was just weird that they didn't do that, but maybe it will make sense in the bigger scheme of the entire Final Fantasy VII remake thing. I don't know. Like it's the same game. of the PSP. Well, technically, they changed a lot of things and they readjusted a lot of things, and it plays a lot better and yada yada yada. Highly recommend getting Crisis Core Reunion because it's a fantastic game. Uh,
I need to
but yeah,
check that out.
I was super excited to play it, and like I've played 15 hours maybe since it came out, and that's all the time I have I have to put into it. I just do not have time to sit down and complete the game, which I will do eventually, but it's just taking me forever. Like a year ago, this would have taken me a week to complete. Like a week of playing, not a week time wise, but now I'm like, okay, I'll play an hour here, I'll play an hour there, which is a perfect game to do that, by the way, because it's a PSP game, of course. So at least that works. But yeah, I just don't have the time to just sit down for like 8 to 9 hours and keep on playing. I just can't do that, but yeah, I'll eventually get there. I did play a little game yesterday. It's a free game on Steam. It's called Mega Serval or Serval or however you want to pronounce it. It's a Mega Man clone. It's free to get. Definitely check it out. It's a little janky when it comes to ladders, but otherwise it plays really smoothly, I would say. Of course, like many of these Mega Man clone games on Steam, for some reason they always have these kawaii anime female characters you play as. I don't get why, but at least it's a good game. So there you go. Because it's like some anime girl slash half animal girl trying to save her girlfriend or something.
Oh,
I don't even know what the story is about. That's how much I paid attention. But I actually liked the game. It took me like 45 minutes to complete it. Yes, with all the achievements tied to it, because it's
uh,
literally beat the game, get all the upgrades. That's
oh,
basically the achievement list. So that's perfect. So yeah, go grab a copy because it's free. I mean, why wouldn't
yeah, I'll
you?
definitely check that
Um,
out.
yeah, and apparently the person made an actual Mega Man fan game as well, but I don't remember the name. So they knew what they were doing with the genre, at least. Yeah, it's fun. If you have an hour to spare, or maybe a little bit longer if you're not that good at Mega Man games, but it's a really easy one, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I have been able to play some games for portable pleasure because that have been since September, I believe,
Oof.
that I've actually done that. So, yeah, since I have a job, man, it's just like
Crazy what
I'm.
happens, huh?
Yeah, you're behind the computer all day. I do not want to come home and then go
Yep.
behind the computer again for another 4 hours.
I
So,
relate so hard to that.
yeah, so it's really only when I really feel like playing, which is normally on Sunday and Monday lately, and that's about it. But I did play 3 games. I finally got around to playing the Shapeshifter 2. We should probably do an episode on
Yeah, I have
both the
yet to play
games.
it. I have
Uh,
yet to play it, so
yeah, we should do one in the future. I don't want to do a light on it because we can combine both games because it's a sequel, but it like really flows into the next game,
yeah.
I would say. So I'm
This
not gonna say anything about the Shapeshifter 2. I think I talked about the first one before a little bit.
first one was
It's
good.
a yeah, it's a great, probably one of the best homebrew games because a lot of effort was put into it. But I do have some opinions about the second one. Not bad opinions, by the way, just things I've thought to be weird about this
That's
one.
fair. Yeah, mine's
But
sitting
yeah,
on the shelf over there right now. I still need to play it.
yeah. Like when did we get this game?
I got mine
October,
last, yeah, September or
November.
October, something like that.
Yeah, so it had been on my shelf since then as well. So I was glad I was finally able to actually play it. After that, I played Karamucho no Daijiken, if you pronounce it that way. I'll probably do it light on it because my light is coming next. I don't really have anything in mind otherwise. So yeah, I'll probably do a light on that coming after this episode. It's a You can call it a puzzle platformer, but it's more like an action platformer with puzzle stages. I know it's not gonna make sense, but you play as an old guy who yells at things, transforms into triangles and a raccoon cat. That I mean, you cannot explain this. You have to see it for yourself. But it's
sounds like a Japanese game, all right?
It's very Japanese, and it's not based on anything. It's just an original idea, I guess. So it's weird, but I'll talk about it in a light episode. Like, there's not that much to it that you can do an entire episode on it. But a light would suffice for that. And now I'm playing Moelle On Secret Castle, the Game Boy version, of course.
The Game Boy version.
Yeah, it's the NES version.
Oh, really?
It's literally just a port of the NES version. Maybe they changed some costs for items. I don't remember because it's been 10 years since I played the NES version. But I love Moelle On Secret Castle. It's a game that is right up my alley because it's literally, here's some cryptic shit, just destroy everything and figure out where to go, and I get to the end. I really like this game, so yeah, I've been having fun. I was hoping to have beaten it already, but my first run, and I don't remember exactly where to go, but I kind of can piece it together again. The first time I soft locked, which was my own fault, but it was also the game's fault for not taking in consideration that you could soft lock that way. So I had to restart, and then the second time I was out of time to stream, and I wanted to save state on my EverDrive, and it's the dumbest button ever to save state. And then the Super Game Boy 2 is the most finicky piece of equipment ever made. So the moment I touched my card, like, yeah, the game crashed. So I have to restart yet again.
You have a Mister now. Just use that.
No, because Mister means delay, and I hate playing with delay.
I suppose. Sure,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll restart it again probably tomorrow, and probably will finish it because it's only an hour long or something, the game, so I should be fine. I think I was like 75% through, so I just have to figure out how to do the last part of the game. But yeah, I really like Moelle On Secret Castle, but if I can make a recommendation, play the NES version, because one, it's the same game, but it has color, and it doesn't lag as much. So, I mean, that's the only reason why you should play the NES version, but otherwise it's literally the same game. So
I haven't played the Game Boy Moelle On yet. I've played the NES Moelle On plenty of times, so
yeah, it's literally the same. I thought there would be changes, but there's really not any changes. Everything is in the same place. All the doors are in the same place. All the items are in the same place. So, yeah, it's just a port of it on a smaller screen, and it works fine. It just lags a little bit more because you're constantly shooting those bubbles, and it's literally the entire game. So yeah, it just goes a little slower. Maybe making it a little bit easier than the NES version, because the bosses in that are sometimes kind of hard to dodge. But yeah, that's literally all I've been playing. Besides that, I just read comics and watch TV. I guess that's all I do. I just don't play that many video games lately anymore. No.
Welcome to my 2022. All right. Well, you know what? For having not really chatted or hung out in a couple months, still got the intro down to our normal size, so Legs will be happy about that. But yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of a short break here. When we come back, we're going to discuss probably the most infamous Mega Man Game Boy game out there, Mega Man 2. Stay tuned. Oh wow, this is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna check up on the cats real quick.
Okay.
In case he destroyed something. because that's always a possibility.
That's fair.
So I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, this music is something else. Yeah, we'll talk about this in the episode, but the reason the music is so high pitched because there's a rendering problem with the music, and they launched the game, but which is unfortunate. Like the music itself, like if you can get past the high treble of it, like it's good music. I hate Quince theme. Ugh. Woodman stage probably might be one of the better stages for me. No, I lied. Hardman stage. It's just a shame it's just so high. Oh, not Metal Man. Airman's not bad. Flash isn't bad either. I've never liked most of the boss music on Game Boy. I always thought it was kind of dumb. Like this song is, so this is an unknown song. But this song is actually a banger. It wasn't so high pitched. I don't know why this is a 3-minute long clip and it takes 10 seconds to do.
Alrighty.
I was going through the Zofer music list, and I realized that all the songs really are they just suck really bad because they're so high pitched. And then I got to the bottom here. It's like unknown song, and I clicked on that, and it's like it's a banger of a song. It's just you can't make out anything because it's so high pitched. Like, it would be a really good song. It might be one of like the better like Mega Man Game Boy songs if it just wasn't so high pitched.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate. Like the music is okay. It's just sucks that it was just poorly rendered. All right. Cool. All right. All right. You all set?
Yep.
All right. Is Pixel being a good boy?
He's sleeping, so.
Oh yes.
then he's fine. Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 53, Mega Man 2. So this game here has definitely gotten game here definitely has a bad rap. Let's just say that, probably for well, half good reason.
Yeah.
But the game came out December 20th, 1991 in Japan, February 1992 in America, which was also re-released in America in 2000 as a player's choice game. For those that don't know, think of it. You remember when like Xbox, PlayStation, like PlayStation has like PlayStation hits. Xbox had, I forgot what the heck it was called, but basically it was just like a re-release of the game because it was it sold well or whatever. Basically, Game Boy had a thing called Player's Choice. I think it's called like Nintendo's Choice or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or Nintendo Select or something. So, but this game got re-released in 2000 based on that. Then you all got it in Europe in 1992. The big change in this game was that this was developed by Japan System House, aka BioX, which is a completely different developer than was used in the other four Mega Man games on the Game Boy. This will be the only Mega Man that deterred from um, the same developers, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
um,
Inafune was not very happy with
no,
them,
no, he was
mostly
not.
because they just did not understand the source material. Like they had no idea how a Mega Man game was supposed to feel like, and there was a lot of trouble during development. So after this game, Inafune was like, "Yeah, no, we're going back to Minakuchi or Engineering, I believe,
Yeah.
is the other developer." Yeah.
Yep. Um, the publishing I thought was actually kind of interesting with this. So all signs pointed to Capcom except for the European release. So Capcom was the publisher for the American and Japanese version, but the things that I found was Nintendo published the European version of Mega Man 2, which I thought was kind of interesting. I've always just tied everything to Capcom for publishing Mega Man, so
Yeah, yeah, it's possible, but I don't know why. But
uh, who knows?
yeah, no idea
Things
really.
were things were weird back then. But we got a decent amount of composer info. So we have Kenji Yamazaki is the composer for the music. This would be his third game that he composed, first Game Boy game that he did as well. Um, but they did a lot of Japanese exclusives for the Famicom, Super Famicom, and Game Boy. His most recent sound stuff, audio stuff, was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. So
Mhm.
within the last, 5-ish years. He used the Roland MC300 to sequence music. I don't know what that is, but I found it on the internet. So,
That's a keyboard. Yeah, that's
like,
as far as I know.
I don't know, but I know he used a Yamaha SY77 keyboard to play back his music. I don't know. There's some music bits for those of you that are
Yeah,
for you
yeah.
audiophiles out there. There you go. Like, I don't know what any of that stuff means, but I found it. So, but
No,
something. Well, good.
the first is a micro composer sequencer.
I don't even know what a sequencer is.
I have no idea. Like,
I'm
anyways,
not an
it's for
audio
sound
person.
programming. So there you go.
I'm not an audio person, so I have no
Yeah,
idea.
me neither. Me neither.
But I thought it was interesting because he worked with another person called Hiroto Nakamura, who created the sound drivers for a lot of the stuff that he used from Giraffe Soft. And Nakamura was contracted work that typically arranged Kenji's music for the games as well too. So those two seem
Mm.
like they went hand in hand pretty tight throughout their careers. And obviously, Mega Man is a platformer, so you can call it a shoot 'em up, I guess maybe, but it's a platform.
It's a very distinct own platforming genre. Basically, it's like it's a Mega Man game. Like,
It's a Mega Man game. That's right.
yeah.
I made it easy for you for the plot, and I snippeted out the story.
That's useful.
See how
Yeah.
nice I was?
So yeah, even the story in this game is like they had no idea what they were doing. Uh,
No
so
clue.
let's see what's in the manual here. Time trap. Light to Mega Man. Light to Mega Man. Come in, Mega Man. Dr. Wily has broken into the Kronos Institute and stolen the experimental time skimmer. We tried tracking him on radar, but he simply vanished. My calculations show that he jumped approximately 37,426 years into the future. Sure, why not?
That's
I
so
have
good.
I have no idea what he plans to do, but oh, your can be sure that it says it like
It's
that in the
right there
manual.
in the manual, yeah.
But your can be sure that he'll be back. In the meantime, Rush has sniffed out a few of Wily's robots guarding a subterranean passage. Get over there and check it out. And remember, let's be careful down there. Light out.
Light out. Yeah, what a. I know, like. So I actually ran through the manual last night when I was doing the notes as well too. It's actually a well-made manual and it looks nice. It's just a shame that it doesn't. The game doesn't. but
Yeah.
uh, but going
Yeah,
through,
like
yeah,
it's kind of the plot. Yeah, so Wily stole a time machine, went into the future to get to Mega Man from the
from
future.
the
Here we go
future.
again. And he took that Mega Man back into the past to fight Mega Man. It's dumb.
It's pretty
It's
stupid.
really dumb.
It's pretty stupid.
Not that Mega Man ever has like a very thorough plot or anything, but this one is like, yeah, sure,
I
whatever.
do have some
It's fine.
interesting trivia on this game once we get down to the trivia part, though.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the Wonder Swan.
Oh boy.
So, but
Uh,
controls. So it's your atypical Mega Man. D-pad to move left and right. D-pad to climb up and down ladders. A jumps if you hold down on the D-pad and tap A, you'll slide. So this game does offer the slide mechanic. It does not offer the charge buster mechanic though, not yet. That'll be in 3. Press B to shoot. You can shoot 3 lemons at a time, or 3 lemons on a screen at a time.
mhm.
And you can press start to activate your weapon box. This is how you activate your special weapon, get access to your E tanks, rush, etc.
Yeah. So the items are also very typical of Mega Man. There's nothing new here. Energy pellets, the black orbs, because it's Game Boy, of course. You can't have. Well, it's
Uh,
black in the NES version as well. Actually, now that now that I think about it, yeah, they just refill your energy. The weapon capsules are those weird. Yeah, I don't know what they are actually. They always looked weird to me. They
yeah.
will refill your special weapon energy. This game does have energy tanks. That's the first time they introduced those on the Game Boy games, at least. Everybody knows what an E tank is. You just pick it up. You can use it later to replenish your health. And of course, there's the one ups or the Mega Man faces or heads, which always has been a little weird that you pick up your own face to get a one up. But but yeah, it's the same in this game. So uh, extra lives aplenty in this one for sure.
What I found interesting in this, so like you get Rush in this game, right? But if you've ever played Mega Man 2 NES, you don't have Rush. You have item
No.
1, item 2, item 3, and they all do different things. So
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
interesting that this Mega Man 2 Game Boy like starts you off with the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters, but they give you Rush from I think Mega Man 3. So
Yeah, yeah.
I always found that kind of interesting that we never got like actual item 1, item 2, item 3 on Game Boy.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I guess Carrie from Wily's Revenge was
Yeah, I suppose
kind
Carrie
of an
was kind of like that.
item. An item two, I get two was the one that goes the
Yeah.
propeller that goes upwards. Like that one is stationary, but I guess that was
Yeah, I
kind of their take on
suppose.
that. Yeah.
I suppose, yeah. But we had the next section. We have enemies. And there's just too many enemies to list out.
Yeah.
Basically, like so, like make it so like the Game Boy Mega Man's, with the exception of five, the Mega Man Game Boys take from half of the NES counterparts. Like Mega Man 2 takes half of the Robot Masters from 2, half from 3. So as you play through the stages are going to very much mimic or be very close to the NES counterpart. There are obviously changes along the way since it is Game Boy. Um, but basically, the enemies that you would face off in the NES version, you're probably going to face off in the Game Boy version as well.
Mm.
So, I mean, the only you have the in Mega Man 3 and Hop Hop Spin, you have the sabers or the cats that breathe fire out of their mouth. You'll have to face off against them. They take half a dozen hits to blow up. You got the bulldozer people that you got to shoot in the head. Like it's the same stuff all around. The bees in Hardman stage. So um,
Yeah.
you face it off in NES, you'll face it off in the Game Boy. So and it's
Hmm.
you fight them the same way as you would in the Game Boy as well.
Yeah. And if you want to know their names, just beat the game. And during the credits roll, you can see all the names. And they're pretty funny
They
because
are.
half of them are translated and half of them are not translated. And it doesn't make any sense. So it's always fun. Yeah, that's something the uh, Game Boy games at least do. They list all the enemies during the credits. And it's really fun to see the
Yeah.
names of them pop up.
But stages though, we can talk about the stages a little bit, especially the Robot Masters. It's like we mentioned a couple times already. The first four Robot Masters you'll face off against are the four of the eight Robot Masters in Mega Man 2. So in this case here, we got Clash Man or Crash Man, whatever you want to call him, Airman, Woodman, and Metal Man. So just for the sake of just following notes here, we got Clash Man. Uh, that stage is actually pretty brutal to get through. Right out of the gate too. Right out of the gate, you have these floating cylinder. I don't know what their actual names are. The floating cylinder heads with eyeballs. They come
Yeah.
at you from the side as you're trying to climb up the ladder on conveyor belts. Like right out of the gate, like scene one, scene two of that stage is actually pretty brutal to get through. Um, so that, in my opinion, might be one of the harder opening stages to the game. But Crash Band himself, like a little bit different than the NES version in terms of just like pattern. He'll jump up, he'll throw the crash bombs down, and you have to avoid the crash bombs. Obviously you don't want to take you don't want to body tank anything from anyone in this game because in typical Mega Man, if you take body hits, they do a ton of damage versus the
Hmm.
actual weapon itself. So yeah, Clash Man weapon is crash bomb, so he's gonna shoot it. It's going to stick to a surface. It's going to blow up. If you're within the vicinity of the blow up, you're going to take damage. Its weakness is air shooter, however. So
Yeah. There is, however, one problem with the air shooter,
yes,
and this is like we'll talk about some other issues with the game later, but here is one issue. Um, you waste too much weapon energy when you use air shooter.
yep.
It was not supposed to be that way, but eventually it's happened that way. So you cannot even kill Clash Man or Crash Man with a uh, full air shooter inventory. You will still need another hit to take him down, so you have to switch to the P Buster. So like at least during speed runs, it's shoot him first with a P shot and then switch to the air shooter. Plus, you can miss either. All three of the tornadoes that come out of the air shooter have to hit Crash Man, or otherwise it will still not do enough damage to kill him. So yeah, that's That's a starting problem of this game already. Like all the other weapons are fine, by the way. It's just the air shooter that's for some reason takes way too much ammunition. Oh.
Yeah. But so yeah, beyond that, in true Mega Man fashion, once you defeated a boss, you go up in the air, then you get the cool little cutscene of, hey, you've acquired this weapon type deal, and we go on to the next
Yeah,
stage. So for the sake of this, we go to Airman, and Airman stage is another really honestly difficult stage as well. Um, all for the wrong reasons as well. So if you've ever played the NES version of Mega Man 2, especially Airman stage, you know that there's going to be birds that come across. They're going to drop eggs. They're going to drop other like mini birds, and there's like these platforms, the spikes that come up from either end, and they home in on you. Um, in this version here, I feel like the birds are probably the bigger concern of everything else because you kind of know when they're going to happen in the NES version. Just even if you've never played it before, you kind of have a hunch. Like, I've been walking for a long time without any enemies. There's probably something that's going to come along. And there's one behind a cloud that you just can't see, and it drops an egg. And now you have 42 little birds you have to get through. This game here, as you're jumping on like the platforms that if you get hit, you just fall backwards and die. You have to deal with the goddamn birds all the time. Like it's just nonstop in certain parts of the game. And then as you get towards the bottom, you have to deal with these little wiggly worm guys that come out of the ground, which will hit you and knock you into the knock you into the nether and kill you. It might be the second hardest opening stage in Mega Man 2, just simply because like there is so much pit of death, and when you get hit, you can't control Mega Man, and you get knocked backwards. And there's just so much that can happen. If the little birds get on the screen, forget it. You're probably going to die. Just how it's going to be. So, but Airman though, I found Airman himself to be honestly insanely easy. I've never had an issue with the Airman fight even at NES. I do know a lot of people do because of the patterns in which the air or like the tornadoes that can get thrown at you. So knowing like when to like jump, when to slide, like whatever. But in this game, and I want to say you can do this in the NES version as well too. If you're up close enough to the boss, you might get hit by a tornado, but you don't have to worry about the tornadoes anymore because they're actually behind Mega, so you can actually just go right into the boss at that point.
hmm
Um,
hmm
the weapon for this is Air Shooter, so the weakness to Clashman, and the weakness to Airman is Leaf Shield. So, but I find Leaf Shield to be absolutely.
I wouldn't say that because it only takes one hit basically for Airman to die. Uh, so it's really powerful in this one for sure. Um, but yeah, otherwise in the entirety of the game, the leaf shield doesn't really do
No.
much good. Like in Mega Man 2 on NES, it does help during the Wily
Yep.
stages a lot. But in this one, it's really not that useful. But especially for Airmen, that fight, if you have the leaf shield, takes literally a second and a half or something for him to die. So at least you got that going for you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. If you're using the Leaf Shield in the NES version, top notch. Probably, arguably, one of the better weapons aside from Metal Blade. But
mhm, mhm.
in the Game Boy version, it's you use it I think twice the entire game.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
worthless.
speaking of the leaf shield, get into Whitman stage, which is basically the same as the NES version,
Yep.
except for the part where you go into the trees in the NES version that doesn't really exist here. Uh, Probably because it differed too much from the rest of the stage to also have put that section in there. But besides that, it's basically the same stage. It has those bunnies and those roosters coming after you, and also those two wolves. I think they are that spit fire that you have to
Yeah.
take care of.
Yep.
In this version, as it's been a while since I've seen the NES speed run at least, but in this version you can just like take a hit and slide through them, so it's not that much of a deal actually to get through these guys. But it's a very straightforward stage, really.
I
Well,
I would say the Game Boy version is so this is coming from a speedrunner's perspective. I would say this version is harder than the NES version because you don't have item 2 to rocket across the rabbit section. So you have to
sure,
deal
yeah.
with the damn rabbit shooting carrots at you this version,
Hmm,
which
hmm.
aren't bad. Like if you have Metal Blade to start, because typically I think you start with Metal Man. If you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
Metal Blade to start, Metal Blade's a very powerful weapon in this game. It's probably your most used weapon in this game. You can take out the roosters and the rabbits and stuff like that pretty quick, but
yeah.
when you've never had to fight them before because you speed ran Mega Man 2 NES to all of a sudden having to play Mega Man 2 Game Boy and having to fight them, I was like, oh, this is actually a little bit of a challenge now. Okay. So, but it is a
Yeah,
very extremely straightforward stage. Like, there's no monkey section at all, monkey or bird section. So the wooded section that Mo was talking about, where you do good wood. So if you ever seen like the Mega Man 2 NES speed runs where they slide across the bottom of the screen and then die,
yeah.
you don't have that part in the Game Boy version.
No, they actually switched it up with an underwater part in this version,
Yep,
which is really easy if you already have Rush Marine, because then you literally just skip it.
crazy
Otherwise, you will
easy.
have to go on top and have to deal with some spikes coming out of the ceiling and things like that, which takes a long time. But yeah, we're going through this the we're going through this like the opposite way that you have to play this game
Yep,
for some reason. So
yeah.
I
Clash
think
Man's
you
always the
might have.
last one that you kill. So
Yeah, I think if you go Clashman, Airman, and then Woodman, I think you might already have Rush Marine because I believe it's tied to a Robot Master
it
in this
is,
one,
but
or
I
is
don't
it?
remember.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, whatever. Like the same with Clashman. If you start up the game, you probably don't have Rush Marine yet, so it's a hard first stage. But if you have Rush Jet, I mean, but if you have Rush Jet for Crashman stage, it's you skip most of it.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a
I
there's
never,
a
I
reason you
didn't,
go that
I
way.
didn't realize we were even going backwards until you said it. I
Yeah,
was like, oh wait, yeah, Clash Man's the last one you kill, and
completely backwards. Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. So yeah, Woodman, the fight, it's the same as the NES version, but a little slower, I would say. Um,
yeah,
Also, like it's easier to dodge his own leaf shield, but it's harder to dodge the fallen leaves because there's not that much room on the screen.
yeah,
But just like with the NES version, you can just use Metal Blade to, like, if you get close enough, you can kind of shoot through the leaf shield and take care of Woodman fast. Otherwise, it's a harder fight for sure.
yeah. Want to do Metal Man's with the sweet glitch that he has too?
Sure, yeah. Metal Man, even though the stage kind of resembles the NES version, it's way more awkward to play it
Yeah,
because everything is so like crammed together, and it's hard to deal with the conveyor belts and the mashers that come from the ceiling. Like the very first part of the stage, a lot of people will die here the first time they play this game just because it's so crammed and it's really hard to dodge everything. But once you get through that, it's actually a pretty simple stage where you don't have to do that much. Sadly, unlike the NES version where you can easily slide under those jesters on the big spinning gears, they're just in your way in this game, so you have to deal with them because they do a lot of damage for sure. So it's just not worth going through them. And yeah, again, you can't use item one or whatever to jump over them. So Yeah, it's a slow stage because of that. But besides that, like the Metal Man fight is easy enough, but again, unlike the NES version where it's easy to dodge the blades, it's a little bit harder in this one, just because you don't have that much room uh, to work around with. But there is a very fun kind of glitch, and I always forget the setup because it's a very like coordinated setup how you
A
do
little
it.
bit, yeah.
But first, it's something like you jump over the first blade, you slide while you shoot, and then you jump again. And then for some reason, Metal Man goes all bonkers and jumps into the wall and gets stuck there. He can't really do anything unless you get too close to him. But then he's stuck in the wall and you can just keep on shooting him.
Yeah.
Um,
I do mine a
normally
little bit
you
different, but yeah.
yeah, there's like a few setups you can do, but I always forget how to do it. I knew it for some time and then I forgot, and now I can't
Same.
do it anymore. But yeah, then you can just shoot him down with a Beat Buster and don't have to worry about dodging any of his metal blades. But if you did Crash Man first, though, you might have the Crash Bomb, which is actually his
His
weakness.
weakness, yeah.
Yeah, so you can use that, but I don't think I've ever done it in my life. Like I always
I
start with Metal Man
if
because
I
it's
if
it's
I
so
did,
such an easy fight.
I did it in a blind playthrough if I did that.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, nothing special about Metal Man. And he gives you the Metal Blade, which is the most useful weapon in the game. Not as powerful as the NES
No.
counterpart, but still very versatile for getting through stages and enemies faster.
100%. I I remember when met with Metal Man when I was learning the speed run. I want to say Cab and PLD were trying to help me figure out like glitches in the game. This was
Hmm.
before like
Hmm.
ND and Prissy and all them got into Mega Man Game Boy. So this is OG days, and we were talking about the Metal Man glitch, and they were telling me how to set it up, and I could never. I understood what they were saying, but I could never do it. And I finally figured out a way to where like instead of getting because typically you get Metal Man to stay on the right side of the screen and he just gets
Yeah.
himself into the wall and that's it. In EBC fashion, I figured out how to launch him to the left side of the screen and get him stuck in the intro, like
Yeah,
the
in the
doorway.
door, yeah, yeah, you
So
can do that as
now
well,
I'm just
indeed.
like, oh, well, okay. Well, I did it my way. So now if we ever watch like speed runs of like the old like Mega Man 2 runners, everyone does it like, oh, here it is on the right side. Then there's EBC's run where Metal Man launches to the other side of the screen. And I'm like, well, there we go. Like there's my
That's great.
Metal Man strat. So it's pretty comical to watch. But yeah, like what Mo was saying, Metal Man stage is a very straightforward stage, but they try. I wonder if it was the first stage that they made for the game because they try to cram so much of it together. Which, if you
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
go on and play the next three stages, so Woodman, Airman, and Clashman, the stages aren't all well. Clashman has a few sections, but they're not all so cramped together. Eventually, they eventually get spaced out.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, Metal Man is a pretty cramped stage.
Yeah, and that takes care of all the robot masters of Mega Man 2
Yeah,
because we already killed the other four in the previous game. So it's time to, yep, already head to Wily's Fortress. Unlike Wily's Revenge, though, this is not a stage. Um, this is
it's a
actually
cutscene.
for it's a cutscene, and then you get taken to four teleporters, just like in Dr. Wily's
Yeah,
Revenge. So you would assume that, yeah, okay, it's the same deal. You enter these portals, you do the boss fight, and you move on. But nope, they actually came with a surprise there
yeah.
that these portals take you to the actual stages of four of the Mega Man 3 Robot Masters. So that was at least a pleasant surprise because I was really just expecting the boss fights there. So that
And,
was really cool.
and I will say these stages are probably the four of the best stages in the game. You can
Yeah,
definitely tell. You
absolutely.
can tell that they probably eventually figured out what to do. because these stages are pretty spot on to what they needed to be.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
the Needle Man stage. So we'll start with Needle Man. Needle Man, his weapon is Needle Cannon. His weakness is Air Shooter or Top Spin, which top spin, Top Spin and Mega Man 2 Game Boy. We'll talk about this in a second. Top Spin and Mega Man 2 Game Boy is what Top Spin and NES should have been. But
Yeah, so they did something right. They figured out how to use topspin. So
don't at me at all. Top Spin on NES is the worst goddamn weapon in the world.
nobody likes it. It's horrible. It just doesn't work. But here it does work for some reason. So
But back to Needleman. Back to the Needleman stage. So the stage itself is it's not a one-to-one replica of the NES version, but it takes all of the resources and assets that the NES version had and puts it into that stage. So you have to deal with the rolling needle shooter monsters. I call them peppermint patties because when they roll up, they look like a hard candy peppermint. Um,
yeah.
they do on the NES. They're red and white. And they roll around. So I call them the peppermint bosses. But they shoot needles off their back and whatnot, and then you have to deal with
Mhm,
the
mhm.
needles that come from the ceiling, and you have to deal with literally the same stuff you had to deal with Needle Man and Mega Man 3. But this time they laid it out to where like, oh, hey, this is a Game Boy game. We don't have to do everything one to one. So they actually created a stage with those assets that fit a Game Boy game. So the stage feels really good. And then when you get to Needle Man, unfortunately you don't have Gemini laser like you do in the NES version. But like I said, if you have air shooter or top spin, you can certainly use those as a starting point for Needleman. And he fights you the same way as he does in NES version as well too. He'll jump up and start shooting needles and rain needles down on you. It's just a matter of dodging them. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
yeah. Then we have Magnet Man. Uh again, they took the same assets as they did from the NES version, put them into a Game Boy layout. Like I said, like these are probably some of the best levels you'll play in Mega Man 2 Game Boy. Um, Magnet Man obviously has the Magnet Missile. Oddly enough, the weakness to Magnet Man in this game is Needle Cannon, which is the
Yeah, or metal blade
or Metal
actually
Blade.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, because in Mega Man 3 NES you use Shadow Blade, which is essentially Metal Blade as well too.
Yeah.
Um, and I think most time you will see people use Metal Blade against Magnet, but you can use Needle Cannon if you don't have, or you should have metal, but if you don't have the metal juice to use it. So,
Mhm, mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I can't say
Yeah.
much more about it. I mean, this is a very well designed stage. Top man stage is where things get a little janky with the speed run. So
that's that's true. Yeah. Also in the Magnet Man stage, yes, they did make the Yoku block section,
yes,
but you have Rush Jet.
yeah, just
Why
fly over
bother?
it. Just fly over it.
Why bother with it? As for some reason in this game, Yoku blocks are Yoku stripes. I don't know why. Probably because they wanted to fit too much on a screen.
Probably.
But yeah, the Yoku blocks are just like small platforms in this one instead of
I actually
the
like them.
usual blocks. So it's fine. It's a weird choice, but it's fine at least.
I think it
Um,
fits. So
yeah. But yeah, Top Man, again, good job of recreating this stage for a Game Boy. You recognize it, but it's portable.
yeah.
Let's just say it like that. It's not as cluttered with all those screw things at the start and things like that. Like they make good use of the enemy placement in this stage for sure. The cats that spin the yarn balls at you, though, they have shrunken down quite a lot.
Well,
They're small kitty cats in this one now.
they have one section. So with that, there is one section that's a little clustered because like you can't escape from it. So you have this little area that you have to dodge the yarn. And when you kill the cat, the yarn and stuff don't go away like they do in the NES version. So you kind of have
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to maneuver in one of the fights, but the other one you can just literally run away from it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun one. The second one you can just slide under, so
yeah,
why is it even there in the first place? This is also a stage that actually differs from version to version
yep.
for some reason. The only difference is that there's an extra block in the European and US version.
Nope, American and Japanese.
Okay, there we go. So the
The
European
European
one
version
doesn't.
is the speedrunning version. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one doesn't have a block. It's in the section where you have to fight those dozers, uh, those mining dozer met thingies. So in the EU version, you can just slide under them, but in the other versions, you can because there's a block in your path for some reason. Why? Nobody actually knows, but it's there and then it's suddenly gone. But yeah, besides that, same deal as the other Top Man stage on NES. Top Man fight also literally the same. If you have the hard knuckle, you will take him down in a few hits.
Even the
So
same
yeah,
weakness as the NES. So
yeah. Although, like in the speedrun for NES, you of course start with Top Man. So the are there still different routes? I don't know. It's been a while. I sometimes just
I
still
think
catch fast.
some people still I think start with Shadow first as well, which is
Yeah,
brutal as a Buster fight. But
yeah. I just sometimes can catch fast at CC doing runs, and it's still Top Man first, which is I think a route he invented in the
yep,
first place. But yeah, then you don't have a hard knuckle. But if you hard knuckle man, three of them will take down Top Man very easily. So yeah. And speaking of the hard knuckle, of course, you have to defeat Hardman to actually get that. We're doing a very weird order again.
super weird order.
Normally it's Magnet Man, Heart Man, Top Man, and
And
then
then
Needle
Needle.
Man,
Yep.
actually, that you do. But yeah, let's go on to Heart Man. Again, a good way to do this stage on Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yep,
Even with the
still,
bees.
yeah, still have the damn bees. But, and yes, they are still annoying. So you
And
just have to deal with them.
you can't shoot
Uh,
diagonally in this game either, which makes it even worse. So
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, it's a perfect representation of this level. It's a little shorter, I believe, than the NES counterpart would be. The monkeys are a little bit more annoying to deal with,
yes.
just because like you have a tinier screen, so it's harder to dodge them. The good thing is if you slide through enemies, you do not get like a knockback in this game. You literally slide through the enemies while taking damage. Another weird choice, but you can use that to your advantage to
That's
just ignore them,
that's something we
basically.
didn't talk about either is ladders in this game. So typically in
Oh
Mega
boy.
Man, when you get hit, you fall down the ladder. But in Mega Man 2 Game Boy, when you get hit up the ladder.
Up the ladder, yeah. Oh, this game,
It's
man.
the game
It's
that keeps giving.
so many weird choices, but uh, again, for a speed run, they are amazing choices.
Yes, yes,
For
they
a
are.
casual player, all of these choices are not what you want, but that's not the only problem with ladders, by the way. Just combine it with a rush jet. It's not gonna work well.
or hard knuckle.
Or hard. Well, that's for a glitch
That's
setup, of course,
fair, yeah.
but yeah, there's this problem that if you are on rush, sometimes when you jump off and try to grab a ladder, you just stand
Oh
on the
yeah.
ladder. It's
Just
it's like
stand
a
there.
platform all of a sudden. It's programming at its best for
It's
sure
it's a
with
good
this
time.
game. So yeah, but yeah, besides that, Heartman fight really easy, especially
Yeah.
if you have the magnet missile. You can just kind of spam it. I wouldn't spam it
Oh,
too much because he does have some invincibility frames here and there, but it's a very easy fight
there
to deal
is
with.
there is a change in this one compared to the NES one. So in the NES one, when you shoot your uh, magnet missile, even in this game too, it homes to where it needs to go. But in the NES version, you don't get blocked by the fists coming out of Hardman. But in the Game Boy version, you can get your shot reflected from his shots. And if
Hmm
you're
hmm
and if you're too close to Hardman, your magnet missile won't home to Hardman. It'll just go
Yeah.
off the screen. So you gotta be careful on that. So you can't do
Yeah.
the NES strat of taking the damage when he slams down and like walking away. You kind of actually gotta do the fight a little bit of a proper way. So
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. And that takes care of the robot masters for Mega Man 3 in this game.
yep.
So yeah, now we move on to
We go into my boy,
oh boy. The
the
worst mistake ever put in video games,
the robot
probably.
killer.
The second robot killer, because if you don't know, if you haven't listened to our first episode, these Mega Man Game Boy games or Mega Man World games all have a Mega Man killer robot in them. And I kind of spoiled it during a plot line.
What better way to kill Mega Man than to use Mega Man?
From the future!
Bum 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 bum.
And he's
Which
actually called Quint in this game. But if you don't know what a Quint is, I'll try and explain because it's the same deal as with Anchor in the first game. It's kind of an odd musical term. Like Anchor was a form of Japanese punk style. Quint is, and I don't even know how to explain this because I'm not a musical person. But if you have a note and you play it 1/5 higher or lower than it's supposed to sound, that 1/5 is called a quint. How did he even come up with this? I have no clue. But yeah, that's where quint comes from. It's another musical term, like everything else in Mega Man, really.
I looked it up too. It's a sequence of 5 cards of the same suit.
No, not the card thing.
I don't know. I just
Qu-
googled
qu-
it.
in music terms, it's what I explained. But yeah, quint is basically from the Latin word for five or whatever it is. Uh,
Oh yeah, quint in music is an interval of 1/5.
yeah, 1/5. Like if it's higher, if it's lower, if it's like spacing between, it's
I know
something.
nothing about music, so
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not a musically gifted individual. So
Yeah, somebody who knows music or can read notes or whatever you call that can probably explain it better. But yeah,
yeah,
it's 1/5. Quint stands for 1/5.
yeah. So
But
he's one
yeah,
fifth of a Mega Man.
yeah.
You know what's even more weird is that like Mega Man from the future uses a pogo stick instead of the Mega Buster.
Yup. Yup.
Like you would think you would have the mirror match like you did in Mega Man 1 NES, right? Where you fight your doppelganger.
Mm,
You would think you'd have, oh, Mega Man's gonna come fight me now from the future, and like Mega Man would have a charge shot or something. But like instead, you fight this guy on a pogo stick with
yeah,
heart with
who
heart
can bear
with
who can
hard
barely
knuckle.
hurt you.
Yeah,
If you stand next to him, it basically can't hurt you.
I feel
So
like Wily should just move to the future if Mega Man's like that at that point. Be like, oh hey, Mega Man, cool pogo stick, bro. I'm just gonna take over the world now. See ya.
yeah,
But
uh,
the weapon's called Sakugarne. Um, and his weakness is hard knuckle.
or
Uh,
crash bomb, I believe as
yeah,
well. Yeah,
I think I've used Metal Blade. I just
you
kill
can
him.
kill him with
Just hit him in
literally
the
everything.
head and just hit him in the head and kill him.
Yeah, so somehow Mega Man from the future also wears sunglasses. Like I don't
He
know.
does wear sunglasses.
Maybe the sun is too bright or whatever in the future. Like I mean, it does make sense. It's 37,000 years. Like the sun will probably be quite a lot larger by then. So
Hmm,
uh, yeah,
maybe.
maybe yeah. I don't know. He has sunglasses.
Maybe he met Sunstar.
Yeah,
Now
true.
we're
That's
gonna tie this into Mega Man 5 now. I mean,
oh no. let's let's just
well,
forget
you
that this
fight
game
Quint
exists.
in Mega Man 5. You face off against Quint in
It's
Mega Man
true.
5.
He's back in Mega Man 5. That's
Yeah.
true because they had to now because these guys
You
made him
fight
up.
all the Mega Man killers in 5.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good game that is too. But
Oh boy.
then we go into the actual Wily stage, aka the Salvador Dali sage.
Yeah.
You don't know what we're referring to. So you've probably, if you haven't seen this piece of art, you should maybe Google it or go outside or read a book or do something, culture yourself a little bit. Um, but there's a famous piece of artwork with have clocks that look like they're melted, and they're like dangling off of like ledges or like lumped over some like pieces of the ground. And it's a
Yeah.
famous painting from Salvador Dali, and this stage has melted clocks in the background that plays basically homage to Salvador Dali. So
Yeah.
we call it the Salvador Dali stage. And it's a long stage and it's a hard stage. So um
It's okay.
it's
I mean, it's still Mega Man 2, which is literally the
true,
easiest
true.
Mega Man game ever made. But
In terms of like what you've already had to go through in Mega Man 2, it's
yeah,
tough.
sure, sure.
Um But the biggest thing is the Wily fight at the end. So the Wily fight has three forms at the very end. Form one, I call it the dinosaur form.
Yeah,
Um, and it looks like a big old dinosaur with a giant toenail. And he has two attacks. He'll shoot like this like bomb bag at you that bounces off the ground, so you can slide under it or walk under it or jump over it, do whatever you need to do. And he'll shoot his toenail at you, that you have to jump over, and you have to shoot him in the upper part. Like where there's a part that looks like a skull, you need to hit him in that skull part. And after so many hits, he's gonna transition into phase two. But you need to be careful on the transition to phase two, because if you kill him on the left side of the screen, he's gonna lose his legs and turn into a flying object. He's gonna fly to the right side of the screen. And if you don't slide under him, he's going to hit you and do a decent amount of damage to you. So you need to either try and kill it on the right side of the screen or just be ready to slide under him when he's going to the right side of the screen. Then you face off against I think it's a tank, if I remember right. The
hmm
tank version of this fight here. I think arguably this is probably the harder phase of the three, because
yeah,
you have to dodge some of the timed bombs that get launched out, and the timed bombs can be in between 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and stuff like that. But you still have to shoot him in the skull while dodging projectiles that are coming literally all around you. It's actually a pretty tough dodging fight for a Mega Man game. Something we didn't talk about yet, though, is that the weakness is Mega Buster or Sakugarne for all three forms. Now, Sakugarne is a cool weapon because it's a pogo stick. The problem with Sakugarne is that when you use it, and if you're jumping on Wily, you're taking damage while using the weapon jumping on Wily. So if you don't have E tanks, that weapon is useless to you. So
yeah. Plus, every jump you do with the stick takes down your energy, so
yes,
it probably has already ran out during the first phase anyway. So,
true.
it is. It does a lot of damage, but it is such a hassle to use.
It's actually really
It's
hard
not
to
fun.
use too in that fight because the hitbox is very particular. So if you're not
Mm,
hitting the hitbox, you're literally just dying for no
yeah,
reason. But yeah,
it is pretty awful.
phase three, you just keep launching into that skull, and then he just blows up, and that's the game. The best part is
Yeah,
when he flies away from you, you shoot him and launch him into outer space.
yeah. In this one, Wily dies. He really, really
In this game, he actually
died.
dies. Yeah.
Except that he's back in the third game, but
Well, that's the Wily from the future, from 37,000 years from now.
it's possible. Or what I believe is that yes, he does die, but it's actually a shrinken down clone version of Wily because for some reason he's super tiny
It's
here.
real small in this game.
Like if you compare it to like all the other robots that he's built, he's like just still his normal size when he's in them. But in this one, he's literally just like this
It's
tiny
a
little
little
person.
tiny guy.
So this is probably not a real Wily. Let's just say it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That makes more sense because yeah, in the end, Mega Man shoots a missile at him in space, and Wily crashes down on Earth,
Blows him
exploding
up.
in like a mushroom cloud when he lands. So
Skull mushroom cloud, yeah.
pretty dead if you if you
Pretty
ask me.
dead.
So yeah, weird.
Pretty dead. But that's the game, and then you go through the credit roll of you get to see all the names of the enemies and the robot masters, and you get to see Mega Man walk, and he just walks
Yeah, like always.
like always. Which there
Yeah,
is a fun fact about this game that will hit in the trivia as well too, in terms of Dr. Wily as well. I found a
yeah.
lot of cool trivia about this game, so
Yeah.
um
So if you have been listening, all of this probably sounds like, yeah, this sounds like a Mega Man game, right? And yeah, it is. It is
it
a Mega
is.
Man game. But let's just go over a few things where it sadly is not a good Mega Man game. Take that with a grain of salt, by the way.
It's not bad. It's a bad
Not
Mega Man game in terms of quality of
in
like
terms
this
of
of like
quality.
of like the quality of service that you would expect from a Mega Man game. Like you would expect a certain level of polish. It's
Yeah.
missing that certain level of polish.
Yeah, there's no polish to this game. I don't know. I mean, even if you don't really know what you're doing, I feel like at some point you'll get it.
Yeah,
But they really didn't. So as fun as this Mega Man game is, because it really is a fun Mega
it
Man game.
is.
Can't deny that. But from the moment you start playing this, something feels off, and it will last throughout the entire game. And there are some glaring issues that you can come across in the game, like I've already mentioned. Like the rush slash ladder combination doesn't really work. You can slide through enemies without any repercussions, besides taking damage, of course. But like usually, Mega Man stops in his tracks when he hits something. In this one, you just literally slide on through. Same with like health pickups. Normally, if you do a health pickup, like the game pauses. In this game, it doesn't. You just keep on going. Um, it's all these small little things throughout this game that don't feel right. Like even the sliding itself, it is the slide, but it doesn't feel like the slide of Mega Man. Um,
Yeah,
which you can argue throughout the Mega Man and NES games, they changed a lot from game to game, but
very true. Yeah,
there's just something off, and you have to play it for yourself to realize what it is, because it's hard to pinpoint it at exactly, actually. But yeah, the good thing though is this makes it one of the easiest Mega Man games there is. Like it really is just the easiest Mega Man game. So it's a good starting point. Um, and it's a perfect game for speedrunners because there's so much things you can abuse in this game. Oh.
I heard Pixel meowing.
Yep. He's here. Well, you can't see him on camera. Here he is.
Aw,
Meow
kitty.
meow. He doesn't like to be picked up though, so I'll put him down.
I saw Han Solo the other day on Hero's channel. He had him up
You're
and
right.
petting him and whatnot. I don't have any animals. I'm so I have a big Kirby right there, and I have a little Kirby right there.
Something.
I got a dog meat right there from Fallout, and my other Kirby plushies are over there. Oh, I got Meat Man right here as well too. There you go. I got Meat Boy right here as well. So I got plenty of plushies around. But yeah, no actual like live and like no live pets.
Well,
But
it just opened up 700 windows on my laptop.
my man, all right.
It just keeps opening up tabs. I don't know what's going on. Oh no. Oh great.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
uh,
just gonna shut it off because this is not gonna. And well, there we
So
go.
interesting with this game is the cover art. You like how I did the cover art? How I put it all in grids side by side so we can actually see
Mhm.
everything? Look at that, dude. Fancy cover art stuff. Um, two of them are very interesting, and one of them is the Japanese one. But the two that are the most interesting is the American and European box arts because they're the same, except one uses the European Mega Man drawing, and one uses the American Mega Man drawing. And I'm gonna go ahead and that's the only difference between these two, aside from Capcom USA at the top. That's the only difference between these two. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that the American box art drawing of Mega Man is way better than the European drawing of Mega Man.
I like half agree and half disagree. Like, I don't like Mega Man's costume in the US version, like
That's
with all
fair.
the
The rivets and
cutouts for
yeah.
something. I don't like those. So I prefer like the European
Yeah.
armor, I
I
guess I
definitely
would
prefer
say.
the suit,
Um,
that's for sure.
yeah, but the colors of the American version are just way better because I don't know why he's so shiny in the European
Well, in
one.
the face
Uh,
too, like
yeah, plus for some reason it looks like he's having a stroke in the European
yeah.
version. Something is off with the perspective there for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's like if they were mixed a little bit, it would be perfect. But
Yeah.
I, I'll just go for the Rockman World one basically because I really like
Yeah,
those
I
drawings.
like those ones a lot.
Like
So
you can find them online as the promotional art without all the logos and things on
yeah.
them, and they're really cool. Oh,
It's like a poster for a box art. They're so
yeah.
good. Like they're colorful, they're cartoony, they look really good. Yeah. Like this one here has Airman up in the air. They got my eyes are just awful. Can't see who's under Airman.
That's Top Man.
Yeah, Top Man. Then you got a Met, and then you got Rush, and I don't know. It's just like it just looks like a poster you would have as a kid that you'd pull from a Nintendo Power. You'd
Hmm,
hang up.
hmm.
The Rockman World box arts from 1 to 5 always looked good. They always looked really good.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Trivia now though, we got a lot of trivia for this game.
Apparently, yeah.
I told you I found a lot of cool stuff about this game. So, first of all, there is a Mega Man 2 Game Boy remake of the music from Rush Jet 1.
Yeah.
So if you want, if you, I personally like the music. I just wish it wasn't so high pitch.
Hmm,
So
hmm.
if you're interested in hearing what the music was supposed to sound like or a better version of the music, go check out Rush Jet One's remake of the Mega Man 2 Game Boy soundtrack. Highly recommend it. It's very well done. Speaking of that, though, Mega Man 2's infamous high pitch of the soundtrack was caused by a rendering error when they were pushing it live to production. So it's not the composer's fault. It's the people that launched the game's fault. Um,
Bastards.
yeah, like we mentioned already, in the Wily stage is the melting clocks, which is the persistence of memory, which is the painting by Salvador Dali. So, um, this one I thought was actually kind of interesting. The sound effect when the player picks up an extra life is almost the same as when you pick up a coin in Super Mario Brothers, but instead of one bling, it's two blings.
Hmm.
I never noticed that.
Yeah,
Um,
no idea.
this is the only Game Boy Mega Man game to use Rush Marine.
Hmm.
Mega Man 2 is one of the few Game Boy titles that does not reset with the Game Boy's A plus B plus start plus select reset config.
That
After
sucks for speed running.
it does. After Dr. Wily is defeated, Mega Man obtains the missile attack Dr. Wily used in the final battle. Mega Man uses it when he destroys Dr. Wily in the final cutscene. This would be the only known instance where Mega Man directly copies an attack from a destroyed Wily machine, but it is unusable by the player. I know Mo mentioned this early on in the episode, but Inafune considers this to be his least favorite of the Game Boy series of Mega Man games due to the fact that the game was outsourced to a different company, Japan System House, um, than the one that worked on Dr. Wily's Revenge, with this new company being unfamiliar with Mega Man. Inafune would return to the company that worked on DWR, Minakuchi Engineering, for the rest of the Game Boy series games.
Yeah, I have the art book for like 25th anniversary Mega Man,
Yeah,
and
I
Mega
do
Man
too
X,
somewhere.
and Inafune even says like you can see some of the promotional art or like concept art he made, and he's like, I really did not like working for this company. You can even see it in my art because I like completely screwed up how the shadows work even. So even he didn't want to put effort into it at all. So
Yeah,
it still looks great though.
yeah, it's not bad looking.
Just some shadows and highlights that are a little bit underwhelming, I guess. But
Like in the first Mega Man game, the brief invincibility period from being damaged does not protect Mega from spikes.
Hmm,
This is one of the few Mega Man Classic series games where Dr. Wily is not seen begging for mercy after being defeated.
kind of hard to beg for mercy if you're
And
dead.
you're dead. Well, he gets crushed in Mega Man 3 NES.
Yeah, but he's not dead at least.
True. He gets crushed though.
Yeah.
But that's all the trivia that I found for the game. I told you I found a lot of it. So
Yeah. Wow.
and then I also found some ads. So like the US ad's pretty damn bad, but
Yeah, it's super bad. Yeah.
so the US ad is just a white page with a picture of the box of Mega Man 2. It says, "What has four legs and flies? Rush," and it rushes in red for your Game Boy, of course.
Doesn't even make
That's
any
it.
freaking sense
That's
to
the
be
ad.
honest.
And then the digital promo for Rock Band World 2, which literally is basically a poster.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It's amazing, yeah.
And then the Japanese ad for this I thought was hella cool because it combined Rock Band 4, which was coming out for the Famicom at the time, and Rock Band World 2, which was coming out for the Game Boy. So you get to see a little bit of both worlds. You get to see some of the ads for both of them as well too. Very colorful. Mega in the center. You got Rush Jet. You got Eddie. You can see below like the pricing of the some of like the Famicom games that were coming out. Um, and a short description of each game as well too. So it looks like a really cool ad. I wish we had that instead of the shitty white background box art ad for us. So
Yeah.
in terms of I couldn't find much on reception. I would assume most people were like, it's a Mega Man game with really bad music. Um, but I really couldn't find much for reception. I found ads all day long, but I couldn't find reception.
Yeah. I mean, if it has a player choice reprint,
It did
it
well,
sold well. Yeah.
at least in America. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh. I'm sure it sold well over here in Japan as well. So
yeah, it's a Mega Man game. You can't go wrong. Wow,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, well, you in terms of programming, you can, but yeah.
um, but yeah, I think with that we're going to take another short break here, and when we come back, we're going to give you our thoughts and history of the game. Because I know Mo and I have a very different experience with this game,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
yeah, talk to y'all in a bit. Let's see, you all will listen to Hard Man Stage.
Yeah, I'll see what that cat is up to meanwhile. Maybe he needs food now.
Yeah, I need to stir my food.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Forgot my mic is muted for a second. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So we'll start with you, Mo, since you're more, I would say you're more of a Mega Man person than I am. Like I like Mega Man, but I would say like you're more of a Mega Man person than me. And we'll start with you with this game.
Yeah. So this is the second Mega Man game I got because like I didn't have an NES, so uh, I was playing the Game Boy once, Wily's Revenge being my first one, and then this one, and I played it constantly, basically, mostly because it was just so easy. And I liked it a lot because Mega Man 3 is my favorite game of all time, the NES one, that is. And is that half the Robot Masters of that game, and it was very reminiscent of that game because of that reason. So I really liked playing it for sure. It was only like way later when I played a bunch of the other Mega Man games that I started to realize that like this wasn't programmed well compared to all the rest, and it wasn't as polished as it should have been. But that didn't decline the fun factor for me. Like I still think this is a really fun game to play even to this day, even though it is. One of the most janky Mega Man games out there for sure. This is also probably my first like speed run before I even knew that speed running was a thing. Because one day we were on a train ride that took about 30 minutes, and I had the game with me for some reason. Maybe it was even on PSP on an emulator or something. Uh, During that time. But I know I had the game with me, and I was and I was like, my friends were there, and I was like, yeah, bet I can beat this game before we even arrive. And yes, because like even not knowing any speedrun threads or anything, like this game takes 25 minutes to get through if you know what you're doing. So yeah, I don't know. Like besides all the jank that this game offers, it does hold like a special place in my heart. Just because I grew up with it, I guess, and I played it so many times. But I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites Mega Man games, not even on Game Boy, really. For me, 4 is the best one. 5 I didn't know until way, way later. I think it's fine, but it's definitely not my favorite. But I'm more like a person that likes uh, 4, 1, 3, 5, and then 2. I don't know why. Like 5 is a very original game and sounds great, plays great, like super cool game, but I'm not so familiar with that one. So yeah, 4 is definitely my favorite, and 2 is like my least favorite, I guess, on Game Boy at least.
Yeah, two is probably right in the middle for me because like the unpolished stuff definitely knocks it down a bit, but it's so easy to get into. You're just like, hey, I just want to play a quick Mega Man game. You just hop in and play it for a half hour, you're done type deal.
Yep.
It has that fun factor to it for sure. Like my favorite Mega Man Game Boy is 3 because I'm a narcissist and love punishing myself apparently. Because it's by far the hardest of the five.
Yep.
But yeah, but like you, Mega Man 3 NES is also my favorite Mega Man of all time. Yeah, it's the one I grew up with. It's the first Mega Man I played, first Mega Man I beat. I didn't own any of the Mega Man Game Boy games until I was well out of college and had adult money and was doing my thing at that point. Mega Man 2 or Mega Man DWR was like one of the first Mega Man Game Boys that I'd play. Um, but I don't have like a history with the Mega Man Game Boys at all. Um, I really didn't get into a lot of the Mega Man stuff beyond NES until I really got into speedrunning. So
Hmm.
once I started getting more into speedrunning and more acquainted with the Mega Man community, when really started diving into the Mega Man Game Boys. So like I think I have a time if I it may not be submitted, but I know I have a time for all 5 Game Boy games and the all 5 marathon run as well too. Um so like I guess I have that under my belt. And every once in a while like I'll play a Mega Man here and there. Like we had the Mega Man 2 tournament a few years back where honestly a lot of glitches were found when
Yeah.
when people took on the game and started diving into it, like we had a lot of veteran Mega Man runners, come into the game and take a look at it and check it out and find even more screen wraps and glitches and whatnot with the game than what was already found before. So it was really cool to see an already busted game speedrunning get even more busted. So and just the potential of like so many soft locks now that can happen if you're at a high caliber runner of the game. Like watching Indy and Prissy and Tremaine do like all those screen wraps that are going through walls and stuff like that, and one wrong move and you're just done. Like that's the end of the run.
Yeah.
So um, it's a fun speed run to watch just because it's so fast. It's a short game, but it's so fast. Like there is no room for error in the speed run at all if you're a high caliber runner. And when it's done perfectly, it looks so good. So but yeah, that's really it for me. Like for me, my Mega Man mastery, so to speak, revolves around the NES Mega Mans because that's what I grew up with. Um, but I'm having played Mega Man 2 NES and then Mega Man 2 Game Boy. It's like, well, Mega Man 2 NES, in my opinion, is the better game because you can't really compare them. But it's just like like if you're gonna opinion like, oh, Mega Man 2, you're like most time people are like, oh, the NES Mega Man. You're like, oh no, the Game Boy version. So but yeah, I mean, I liked Mega Man 2. I think it's a fun game. I think it's unfortunate what happened with the audio because I do think the OST is actually pretty good for the game. It just sucks that the pitch was just off on the render. Otherwise, I honestly think the music it would be one of the better soundtracks for Mega Man Game Boy out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Looks like you got some retro chivas though.
Yep. For those people who like to get some achievements for this game, this is actually a really good list. No, uh, it's not always the case, but yeah, of course, the normal thing: beat the game. Simple enough. Also, beat all the robot masters with just the Buster. Simple enough. Like again, this is an easy game, so you can do it. Some of them even have like do not pause. Well, it's beat with the pea shooter and not pause the game, meaning that you also can't use an E tank to beat the bosses. Basically, that's what that's for. But it's super simple. Then there's like there's two random ones, like don't use Rush Jet and Magnet Man stage for the Yoku block puzzle, and beat the game with 9 lives remaining, which is also very simple to do. So uh, there's a lot of lives in this game. It's basically the Mega Man 5 of the Game Boy. Mega Man games.
Yeah,
There's so many lives you can get in this one. So yeah, fun list. Definitely give it a cry. A cry. You can
definitely
give it
give
a
it a
cry as
cry.
well, but you can also give it a
Definitely,
try if you want these achievements. It's very doable. So there you go.
definitely give it a cry. Um, but the speedrunning pieces of it now. Um, like I mentioned earlier, the speedrun of it kind of got busted open when the Mega Man 2 tournament came around. World record holder is Endy right now with a time of 18 minutes and 12 seconds on the Super Game Boy 2. This was back in 2018. So
Mhm.
we've definitely gotten newer runs in here. There's some from the 2022, 2021, and of the sort like Mo here. You submitted back in 2014.
Right.
Mine was back in 2018 during the Mega Man 2 tournament. When I was doing all that stuff with Don Carls and ND and Prissy and all that stuff. So, um, in terms of like strategies, this game is actually kind of interesting for a speed run because you can kind of just break it up into like segments. So like you can go for like some of the easier tricks, like what we talked about during the actual gameplay, where getting a Metal Man stuck in the wall, um, using hard knuckle to wrap a couple screens off of a ladder, things like that. Like these are very easy and pretty non-threatening to a soft locked. Um, and saves you a bit of time, so you can get an okay time with just the absolute basic OG strats, but if you want to get real crazy and start competing for the sub 19-minute times, it's when you start going for the frame perfect, hard knuckle off of ladders, or the frame perfect, transitions into walls with rush and things of that nature that will cause you to soft lock if you do something wrong.
Mhm.
So um, it's very interesting. You can either be very beginner friendly and then over time start to add in elements to the speed run to bring down your time. So, and with it being such an easy game, it's actually a pretty nice speed run to get into as well too. If you're looking to get into a Mega Man speed run, this is by far one of the easiest Mega Man speed run games to get in. And it's short. It's 20 to 25 minutes compared to a half hour to 45 minutes for an NES game. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's all I got for speedrunning stuff. We're not a speedrunning podcast. We barely do
No.
that stuff anymore at all. In a way, the only time we speedrun now is for marathons.
Yeah, if even.
Speed run, quote unquote. We're not taking a break. We just got off of one. God, I forgot to put community events in. I don't know if we have much for community events
There are
actually right
not that
now.
many going on right now, and I think the only one I can think of on the top of my head that is coming up shortly is Frame Fatales. Uh,
Yes,
the winter edition, I guess that's it's Frost Fatale then,
Frost
right?
Fatales. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's coming up somewhere in February. I forgot. But beyond that, I don't think there's anything going on really, because we just came out of a season with a lot of marathons. So
a lot of marathons.
yeah, so it's a bit shorter
Yeah, here we go.
on that
I got
right
it.
now.
So Frost Fatales 2023. If you don't know what Frost Fatales is, it's an all women speedrunning event that is on GDQ. It's actually a super cool event. It's a lot of fun to watch, honestly.
Mhm.
It'll be running from February 26th through March 4th, and the schedule is actually available now. So let's see if there's any.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Who cares about Spear? I think it's a cool Game Boy game. Ooh, Silent Hill 3, not a Game Boy game. Stray, not a Game Boy game, but good game. Yes, one. Game Gear, Tails Adventure. Tails Adventure on Game Gear. At least it's handheld. Sonic Triple Trouble on the Game Gear. Got another handheld. Pokemon Coliseum. Oh god, I actually would like. Tweety and the Magic Gems for the Game Boy Advance. Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure for the DS. Let's see. Super Mario Advance for the Game Boy Advance. A lot of PC games. Holy smokes. No actual GB games, though,
Mhm, mhm.
which, is what it is. But really cool event, though. Super uh, urge you all to watch it. It's a very fun event. It's actually really cool to see this type of thing happen, and they benefit the Malala Fund. And if you don't know what the Malala Fund is, the Malala Fund works worldwide, where all girls can um, learn and lead. Essentially, trying to build out some world leaders and company leaders and such. So, trying to give secondary education, giving resources to women and young girls that may not have the resources organically available to them
Mm.
to you know uh, become higher in today's world. So very, very, very good cause. Very cool marathon. So
Yeah.
beyond that, I know Midwest Speed Fest is about to do a thing. I have such a hard time keeping track of things nowadays. But I know Midwest Speed Fest typically has a thing that comes out in the winter. Um, oh, it looks like so now they pushed it to April.
No. Okay. Yeah.
So this time around, Midwest Speed Fest will be April 14th to 16th so far. So there may be some stuff that comes up before then, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I no idea either. No.
But RG, what do we got anything going on in RG? I don't think we got much going on in RGL right now.
Nope.
Nope. Nothing until probably
Like,
retro or we'll do the Valentine's Day thing probably.
oh yeah.
We'll probably do the
RG
RG
love. Yeah.
Love. Yeah, we'll probably do RG Love. We'll have Retrothon, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe we'll do a time. Maybe we'll do a Tiny Ten remix.
Yeah, but that's still months away, so
That's still a long ways away, but maybe we'll
yeah.
do one this year. Who knows? We didn't do one
Yeah.
last year, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then Power Up with Pride literally just finished up their Power Up with Pride winter stuff last month, so they're gonna be on a break until at least June when they do the Power Up with Pride summer edition. So,
Yeah.
but we're in that lull right now of marathons. Like we just finished AGDQ. Now we're gonna have like that like couple month break, and then it's gonna pick back up
Yeah, then
again.
it's gonna pick up. Yeah. Exactly.
That's how it always works. But yeah. Anything in chat or Discord?
No, nothing in Discord at least when it comes to questions.
I say we were pretty quiet in Discord for this game, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing over there.
So from says they're really a best Mega Man. Yes, Mega Man 3 on the NES. Or are they all equally terrible? Well, I personally don't like the X games, but that is, that's for a different conversation. But all right, well that's easy enough then. We
Yeah.
can go into our sweet scripted closing then. That is never on the fly and
Never.
never just thought of off the top of our head. And it's been a few months since we've done it, so it's gotta be good. If you have any thoughts and suggestions for the podcast, we'd love to hear from you in any form or fashion, whether it's through the Retro Gaming Live chat when we're live doing these episodes, whether it's in our Discord. I'm pointing to these softwares. You have no idea what I'm pointing to. If you're in our Discord, whether it's in the RGL channel or in our actual This Is Game Boy Discord server, um, DMing us, whether on Twitch or Discord, tweeting at us, hanging out in our streams whenever, if and when we get the times to stream. We'd love to hear from you about the podcast, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're always looking for ways to enhance the podcast. Like we mentioned earlier, we changed the layout of the podcast a bit for the live episodes to make my life a bit easier. But you can definitely use some tweaking. I think the borders are a little bit too thick. I think the layout could be a little bit more clean. But overall, like we're trying to get the gears a little bit more greased up and rolling to make a bit more professional production coming out of this now that We're getting a little bit of time. We've been at it for almost 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. Um,
Yeah.
we're learning, we're building, we're trying to get more mature with things, trying to make things easier and more efficient. So we'd love to hear what you all think about it, and favorite episodes. Like we love talking about episodes. Like my favorite, I have two favorite episodes: True Lies, obviously, and an Amazing Penguin. Like those are my two favorite episodes that we've done.
Yeah, they have been great. Yeah.
Yeah, both of which showcase both of our personalities very well.
You're right, right.
So, in True Lies, we didn't even talk about the game. We just talked about the
Yeah.
movie the entire time. So, an Amazing Penguin has made a bunch of seductive and suggested fanfic on the damn penguins. So it was great. Um, so yeah, we like talking about episodes as well too. So definitely tell us what your favorite episodes were, or what your least favorite episode was. I have a few of them as well too. I would love to go redo Solar Striker again, but
Well, yeah, okay.
I mean, that was our first episode, but like, I would
Yeah,
love to redo it. Um,
sure.
you know, but yeah, let us know. Even hitting like reviews and stuff on the podcast stuff, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, things like that. We read them if there's new ones there. Like I've read the few already that are on Apple, so but yeah. Anyway, you can find me, eBloodyCandy, on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. That's it. I'm not joining any other social medias that other people are flocking to. Where can they find you, Mo?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube for the gaming stuff, and uh, if you're just interested in seeing me posting pictures of my comic books that I can't stop buying, you can also follow me on Instagram. It's all slash Mula, which is Moelleuh. Oh, it's all the same handle, so
Imagine having the UH at the end of your name. Uh,
yeah.
you can also find our fantastic producer, Sprinting Legs. Sprinting Legs on Twitch and Twitter, Legs on YouTube, and definitely check out her project website, www.sprintinglegs.com, where you can find our Game Boy database project, aka the Game Boy Manual project. So if you're ever looking for a Game Boy Manual and you don't have it, we may potentially have it. If you go to gbmanuals.com and type in the game, we may have a scan of that manual for you. So, and obviously, she has other projects as well, like time conversions and fighting game stuff that she does now with Sailor Moon
Mm,
and whatnot. So, um, yeah, time to go into sellout mode. Patreon. So we have a Patreon. If you would like to be a patron of Patreon, we have tiers that we still need to talk about. Maybe
yep.
we'll do that in 2023. um, but we have tiers that you all can patron for, I guess. I don't know what the verbiage you're supposed to use for that is. Um, but we give you some exclusive stuff so you can see some behind the scenes things. We give you access to our notes, which depending on who's writing them are either really bad or they're really good. Um,
Jeez.
so it just depends who writes them. We have behind the scene blooper stuff, so a lot of times they will have some mess ups, like when Mo can't speak English at the start of the episode. That
Hmm.
goes into the blooper reel sometimes. We have certain special access to the Discord, premiere access to Haunt Hunters whenever Mo and I have chance to play horror games together. Just a little bit of kind of a thank you for being a patron type deal and giving us some support. Um, we also have PayPal. The issue with PayPal is that we can't tie PayPal into anything at all. So if you do, just want to support us via PayPal, please let one of the three of us know. We want to thank you in some form or fashion. We don't know what that looks like yet because no one's ever reached out to us,
Yeah.
but we'll figure it out. All right, we'll figure it out. We have a merch store, merch.thisisgameboy.com, where right now you can get a shirt and a mug. And I know we want to expand on that store. I hope maybe we'll expand on it this year. We'll see how much time
Mhm. Mhm.
and design stuff we can get out. But I know we want to expand on that this year to get you some more stuff like stickers. People love stickers. Mo doesn't like stickers.
Nope.
People love people love stickers.
I have
Um,
literally no affinity with stickers whatsoever.
Mo's
So.
like, why do we want a coffee cup? No one's gonna buy a coffee cup, and we've sold like 5 in the first week we launched it. Don't even give me anything of that. No one wants a coffee cup. I think that's all the sellout we have, right? Yeah. All right.
That is, yeah.
Sellout mode done. Um, non sellout mode. Listening to the podcast, watching us on RGL, leaving reviews on podcast services. Just hitting the 5 stars, leaving a little comment. Make sure it's 5 stars though. Just leave a little comment. It supports us hugely. Um, Better the reviews, the higher up we rank on the podcast stuff, the more listens we get. Higher up, that stuff ranks up on like SoundCloud and things of that nature as well too. And it just reinforces that people like to listen to us old folk talk about old Game Boy games that most people overshadow or don't remember or forget about over time. So, thank you all for listening to our podcast. Thank you for soon to be 5 years in May of This Is Game Boy. So crazy to think we've been doing this for that long.
So long. Unbelievable.
Didn't think we'd be doing it for this long, honestly, when
Yeah.
we first started. But
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's it for the
Yep.
closing stuff. Oh, I gotta figure out a
It is.
game. Oh my god.
Yeah. And if you just skip this entire part of selling out and social media and things like that, and you still want to find it, it's just on thisisgameboy.com. So,
Oh yeah, the website.
yeah, you can find everything there if you need to.
True. True and I gotta find my Game Boy list. All right. Yeah, what should we put? Elite Soccer. Oh boy. God, what a shit game. Uh, if you want to play the world's worst soccer game on Game Boy, go play Elite Soccer. Let's see. Hmm. Donkin Man. I don't know what we've done light episodes on. I think we've done Shipu Iron Leaguers and light.
I don't think so.
I think might be a decent episode. This is the hardest part of finding the next episode.
Yeah, we haven't done an episode on that at least.
It might be a cool one because there's so many little things and workings with that game. We'll do the Shipu Iron Leaguer because that's the one you turn into like the football, the baseball guy, right?
Yep.
Share health between your friends.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, we're gonna do Shipu Iron Leaguer then because that's a fun game.
All right.
Shipu Iron Leaguer. All right. So yeah, the next time you hear from Mo and I, we're gonna talk about a Japanese exclusive, Shipu Iron Leaguer, which might be based off of anime. I have no idea. We'll find out when we do our notes.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about a sports game that is not a sports game.
Told you we get a sports game. That's a main episode. I told you we would.
This one is all the sports game.
It's all the sports. That's right.
All the sports.
We're hitting them all in one episode.
Yeah. So we never have to talk about sports ever again.
True. True. All right. So yeah, with that, the next time, Sheepu Iron Leaguer. Until then, thank you all for watching. If you're watching it live, thank you all for listening. If you're listening to it in the I guess the future now, and thank you all for just the support for the podcast.
In the future.
In the future. There we go. We gotta get one more in there for legs. So.
Yep. There we go. More work.
So yeah, thank you all again for the support, and see you all in a month ish, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ta ta.
Later, man.